This is the Business Stuff Podcast. This is where I will share the lessons I've learned from advising thousands of businesses over almost 30 years. Each episode will give you practical insight to allow you to learn from other people's mistakes. I'll be pulling in experts from our team and the world of business, and together we'll make sure your business is giving you what you want. My name is Martin, and this is the Business Stuff Podcast. Hi, it's Martin from the Accelerator team, and this week I'm with John McCabe. John is the Chairman, CEO,
Chief Executive
of the North East Chamber of Commerce.
That's right. Good to see you, Martin.
Hi, John. Thanks for coming on, first of all. Do you want to just tell us 30 seconds about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so as you said, I'm Chief Executive of the North East Chamber of Commerce. Been in the job since October 2021. So my job is to really kind of bang the drum for the region, talk about all the great things that businesses are doing across the region, highlight those areas where we need a bit of additional support as well, perhaps. But it's a real privilege to do the job because we've got so many fantastic businesses in this region.
October 21, so what? That's like the economy's just opening up again then?
Yeah, pretty much.
Good time to start any new job?
Well, it was always going to be a great time to start this job because it genuinely is a privilege to do this. You know, I really enjoy what I do. Somebody once said to me, you know, if you find something that you love, you'll never work a day again in your life. And,
it's a bonus if you like the job,
isn't it? This is absolutely something that I love doing. So,
what led you to that then, John? Because you were in business before that. Because one of the classic things about people like you say, "Oh, I've never run a business." What would they know? But you did run a business for years, didn't you?
I did. I mean, my longer term, my career was in business, in larger businesses, predominantly in the North East. Spent a little bit of time working outside the North East, but predominantly for big employers in the region. So I had that sort of big business experience. I still describe it as my last proper job. I was Corporate Affairs Director at Alcan up in Northumberland. It's a big manufacturing company. When I started there in 2002, some pals said to me, they're going to close next year. And I said, well, that's the whole idea. My job was to try and sort of lobby the government to try and sort of put into place some legislation that would keep us open. So we got about another 11 or 12 years out of that, and then unfortunately that did close. And then I set my own business up. I thought I would do that for 12 months or so and then get another proper job. But 9.5 years later, the business had gone from strength to strength, started to employ people, grow the business, diversify a little bit. And then when the chamber job came up, jobs that don't come up very often, so when it did, I knew I was going to be really keen on going for it, and I was very fortunate to get it.
I'm sure you'd have more up-to-date stats than me, but statistically 50% of businesses don't make a year, another 4 in 5 don't make it to 5 years. It's that kind of quite a lot of people fall out when they start business, don't they? They never make it.
It's really tough.
So you've gone from that start-up to a 9-year-old business, so you've kind of been there, seen it, you've worked on the large side. So you've probably got some great gems that you're going to share at some point today.
Well, that was part. I mean, that was definitely part of my, without sort of lifting the lid too far up. That was part of my pitch when I was going for the job. That I had that experience working with big businesses, and the Chamber's got the biggest businesses in the region in membership, but also that very specific experience of starting a business, running it, growing it, going through all the growing pains that go with that. Your clients will see that
first
all the time.
Employee, VAT registration.
Absolutely.
New premises, awkward client, the first time you get bumped on a big job, all of those things are really important lessons that most businesses face at some point on.
And it can be very daunting, and it can also be very lonely. And again, that is actually one of the things that I think the Chamber is there to do. So one of the very first things I did when I set my business up is I joined the Chamber. Right. Because I think it's important to be part of something bigger, and that's fundamentally what the Chamber is. So that was kind of the beginning of that journey. It ended up having joined the Chamber as a member. I got involved in some of their kind of committee work. So I was chairing the Chamber in Northumberland for a while, and then
so they knew who you were.
Yeah, they knew who I was. I was Chamber President for 2 years, which was a great thrill. I got to do all the sort of the nice bits. Without necessarily having to worry about the bottom line or anything like that.
But now that's on you then, is it?
But now that's on me,
So is it worth just very briefly as well then, John, just explaining what the Chamber is? Because some people might think, well, is it a government body? Is it a quango? Is it a private enterprise? Just very briefly, because you explained the hierarchy to me and I haven't appreciated exactly what it was.
Okay.
Is it worth just briefly explaining what that is?
Yeah, happy to. Well, so I mean, first of all, we are owned by our members. We don't have shareholders. We are owned by the...
There's no fat cats.
There's no fat cats, definitely not. We are owned by the 2,000 plus businesses that are in membership in the North East today. And collectively, we are one of 53 chambers of commerce across the UK. By most metrics, we're one of the biggest, well, certainly one of the top three.
Right.
We go from the Scottish borders down to North Yorkshire borders over to the Cumbrian border.
So quite a large catchment area.
A large catchment area, as I said, a lot of members, very diverse membership from startup businesses, again, worked from the dining room table, which is what I was familiar with, to the biggest employers in the region, trading internationally, employing thousands of people. And to different members, we mean different things. So, particularly for some of our smaller businesses in membership, we provide them with products or services that they might not have otherwise in-house. So, access to an HR helpline, a legal helpline. So that's really important,
Okay then. And I suppose you never went up there, there's 53, and you then all collectively decide what happens at the national level, don't you?
Yeah, we collectively own the British Chambers of Commerce. So as I said, our 2,200 members own us, and the 53 chambers own the British Chambers of Commerce.
So there's definitely it's business led.
Absolutely,
by its very nature, isn't it?
Business led and rooted in its regions as well. But the real strength of it is it's got that national influence, and then indeed international influence. So the British Chambers of Commerce has got, I think it's now 80 offices around the world. So awesome. Again, if you're doing business in pretty much any region of the world, come and have a chat with us, because the chances are, if we don't know somebody in that region, we know somebody who does.
Someone who does,
and we can hopefully therefore help open doors.
And I presume you're in most of the common places around the world where most businesses don't.
Exactly,
You'll have someone in France, I would imagine.
Oh,
Germany,
for sure, absolutely.
Most of the main culprits.
Absolutely, across most of certainly those major economic communities,
Awesome, okay then. So we've got a little bit of a feel about the chamber. This role has afforded you some good access to people, hasn't it? Do you want to tell us briefly about why you were down in the Big Smoke? The
Big Smoke last week, there's never a dull moment in this job. But last week, I was in Downing Street. I was one of 5 chamber chief execs from across the network to meet with the Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, and we had about an hour with the Chancellor to talk about things that are going on in our patch.
Yeah.
And my approach to these things is obviously to set the context. So, to start by saying, look, this is why we're here, this is why things matter to us, what we're going to try and improve. Yeah. So talking about some of the things that are difficult for us as a region right now. But then really importantly, getting on to all the brilliant things that we've got going on in the region, all the opportunity up here, to try and sort of get across to government that actually we can be part of their solution to part of their problem.
If we learn good practice from what you're doing well.
100%. If we can get the North East absolutely firing as an economy, that's going to transform the national economic picture.
Because have we got record low unemployment at the moment in the North East? I know it depends how you measure. But there's certainly, because we try to keep this positive where we can. There's a lot to be, I suppose, positive about in the North East at the moment, isn't there?
Oh, there very definitely is. And you're absolutely right. The unemployment figures, if you look at the headlines, if you like.
We're still poor, as a national average, but it's moving in the right direction at last, isn't it?
It is in terms of those top line numbers. There's a couple of things that are of concern to us. So just perhaps spend a few seconds over that. One of them is we've got almost 1 in 4 of the adult working age population in the North East is classed as economically inactive, and by that we mean they're either not in work or not looking for work, and there's all sorts of reasons for that.
So that will include, I'll just say it, that'll include the lazy, but I don't want to tarnish that whole book. But also the people. I
would say that's a small minority.
I get that, but they're included in that on this. But you've got the people who don't want to work, can't work, and are just out of work. Is that it?
Fundamentally, yes. And there might be so many different reasons as to why. I think the can't is the really important one.
I wasn't judging what I'm saying is, but 1 in 4 is still a big number.
It's a lot. And I think
whatever the reason is, 1 in 4 is a big number.
It's a big number. And the can't, I think, is the really important thing for us, because we've got to therefore figure out, well, how can we get them to a position where they can? So, for example, that could be barriers because childcare costs are prohibitive. So we know there's a great cohort of people in the region, predominantly, it has to be said, women, for whom childcare costs are just too high, and therefore it doesn't make sense to go into work. Well, that means we need to do something on childcare costs, affordability, on access to childcare. But the other side of that coin, which comes to the other sort of point behind those employment figures, is we need more people in our region in better paid jobs as well. Because right now, again, underneath those headline figures, we've got the lowest average median wage in the UK, and it's something like £40 a week
that's
behind.
in the UK, not just in England.
Yeah, that's in the UK. Right. So that's something, it's about £40 per week behind national averages. So that's a lot. So we need to get more people into better paid work, and that in itself is going to unlock some of that economy. It's going to take some of that big cohort of people who, at the minute, for whatever reason, aren't working. That's going to allow them to get back into work.
What's the average across the country then, John? If it's 1 in 4, yeah, I mean, what's the national average?
I think the national average is something it's roughly about 1 in 5.
Right, okay.
But
it doesn't sound much. But
it doesn't sound much, but yeah.
It's a lot of people, isn't it?
That's a lot of people, yeah. It's too many.
It's 5% of people, yeah.
It's too many, yeah.
Okay, so give us some of the positives then. Why, if you were, because this is, our audience are business owners, people who want to get into business, they're in business or selling, but they're in business. What are the positives? If you were starting a business, why would you start it in the Northeast at the moment?
Well, first of all, I mean, why wouldn't you? We are very lucky, aren't we?
We know this.
Yeah, we're very lucky to live and work in a region that's got beautiful countryside, the best beaches in the UK, fabulous leisure and tourism offering, and all the rest of it. But in terms of setting up and starting the business, we've got a really good network in the Northeast. There's usually help available to you if you really if you need it, and again the chamber's there to fill part of that offering. But we've also got some really thriving supply chain opportunities in the region right now. So we're doing some fantastic things on renewables and offshore wind, on the whole sort of net zero transition. We've got a very thriving and your organisation is part of this. We've got a thriving professional services sector in the region where we've got some of the biggest firms in the UK have offices in the Northeast, and then we've got those kind of homegrown Northeast professional services firms that are just doing some brilliant work. Things like data and health and life sciences, we've got some fantastic innovative businesses coming forward, and that digital and tech is thriving. So we've got those sectors that are doing really very well. We just need to, as I said, open that economy up to more to allow them to get into that.
What do you think? So bear in mind, there's a lot of good reasons to do it. What do you think the barriers are to people? Do you think there's just a lack of entrepreneurial spirit, or is it people have got the ideas but they don't know where to start? What do you think are the barriers at the moment then?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think there are those sort of economic barriers that are just out there right now. So again, established businesses tell us that they are really concerned about inflation, they are really concerned about interest rates, about taxation levels and so on. So that, if you're just starting out in business, is a pretty potentially scary thing to be looking at.
Because you've got to juggle a lot of things in business, there's no denying it.
Absolutely right.
Even the most simple business has still probably got, 50 things to think about.
Absolutely, on a good day. And if you're the business owner behind that startup, all of that is on you. Yeah. And again, that can be a pretty lonely, pretty daunting place to be. So we've certainly got to think about all of that.
Despite all that, there's still those mad people who give it a go though.
Yeah, well, so I remember, as I said, the first part of my career was always working for an employer, working for a big employer. And I used to look at friends and contacts who were doing their own thing and say, I've got massive admiration for you, but it's not for me. I want that security of having an employer behind me. And I got into sort of entrepreneurism, if you like, by it was forced into it. I was made redundant.
Circumstances led you there.
I was made redundant, and that's a pretty scary thing to be facing. So some people do it because it's their passion, it's what they were born to do. Others just find themselves in that position. We've just got to make sure that the support is there for all of them, whatever their rationale for getting into it.
Because obviously you've got a helpline. You said you cover your HR and a bunch of other things. Do you have a read on what the biggest issues are that people are ringing about at the moment? I don't know if you've got we took 60 calls yesterday and 12 of them were on inflation, or what's eating people at the moment in the business world?
Yeah, well, we actually do a quarterly economic survey where we ask exactly those questions. Yeah. So we ask businesses, and this is open not just to chamber members, any business.
It's not just members.
It's not just members, because we want to get that, really take the temperature of the whole regional economy. And I was actually looking just this morning at the latest figures. We're about to announce the the quarter 2 economic survey results.
Do we need to embargo this part of the podcast then?
I think we're okay. I think
you're not going to give anything away.
Our marketing comms team will let me know if I've overstepped the mark. But and look, there's no great surprises in there, Martin. It's still those overhanging concerns around inflation. That's having a massive impact on business. Interest rates again clearly having a big impact. And what we're seeing is it's kind of stifling long-term confidence. So those decisions that businesses want to be taking today...
Uncertainty is a crippling thing for business, isn't it?
Really is. It really is. And just that sort of political and economic stability is so important. But what it's doing is it's undermining long-term confidence. Yeah. So businesses today are telling us that actually this is, touch wood, not too bad. It could have been worse. If we go back to where we were probably just about this time last year when the country went through a bit of a sort of political meltdown, we would probably have taken where we are today if you'd asked us this then.
Yeah.
But in terms of how that then sort of manifests through to a long-term confidence,
springboard to then plan the next year, though, does it?
Exactly.
Because you think, well, what could happen?
Yeah. So clearly, what we're finding is that big decisions on investment in plant, machinery, and indeed people, coming back to people, those decisions are just being put off right now. So again, hopefully, if we can get some more political and economic stability into the system, those decisions will start being taken again, and off we go.
Are we seeing? Because obviously you mentioned 1 in 4 working age people are, I can't remember what you said, but not working.
Economically inactive.
But yet also we've got, it's really hard to recruit at the moment.
It is.
What, have you got any suggestions or tips or thoughts on what people can do to prize someone their way instead of...
Yeah, so again, this is something that pretty much every conversation I have with businesses now, businesses of all sizes and all sectors are telling me exactly the same, that recruitment is just really difficult right now. And I think there might be a number of different factors in play there. Clearly people, again, thinking about their own sort of disposable income, if indeed they have any disposable income, really have to consider what they do with that. Yeah. And therefore, we did go through a period, certainly the back end of last year, early this year, where people were moving around in jobs much more quickly than they were before, and therefore it was becoming harder for employers to fill long-term vacancies in a long-term and sustained way. So that hasn't gone away. That definitely hasn't gone away.
Because that also makes it hard to plan if you're a business and you think, oh well, we'll plan something. We don't know what team you're going to have to deliver that plan. That really makes that hard, doesn't it? As well?
But there are things employers can do. So again, coming out of the pandemic, we've all become accustomed now to more flexible ways of working. Yeah. That is definitely here to stay. And that's, I think that is a good thing.
There'll be an element that is just never going to change back. Yeah. We've bounced back a little bit to pre, but we're never going to get back to the old pattern.
Yeah, but that may be because actually the old pattern didn't necessarily suit the modern economy. That kind of 9-to-5 job, working from the desk, from the office floor, from the factory floor.
I suppose it was inevitable if you think about it. This switch away from manufacturing to services. Services generally can be more easily remotely delivered.
Yeah, that's it.
It's. I saw one interesting argument, mainly that the idea was that it was a bit unfair morally on the people who can't work from home, that everyone else expects to be able to. And I haven't really got an answer to that, but it's if you work in a factory and you're a supply chain, you kind of need to be at the machine in the supply chain, don't you?
Yeah, it lends itself more to
those people can't just go, well, I want to work from home. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. But there are certainly other things that employers can do to try and sort of bring a bit of kind of stickability, if you like, into their workforce. So it's those conditions.
It's not always just money either, is it?
It's definitely not always just money. Money is really important, particularly when things are tough right now. Yeah. But it's definitely not just that. It's that flexibility to go to the doctor's appointment without sort of having to take holiday, go to the kids' school play or whatever without having to take holiday, flexibility on hours and so on. And it's got to be a halfway house between what suits the employee clearly, but obviously the employer needs
to be productive. The business still has to work.
But I think we're all kind of still adjusting to this. I remember again going back to this sort of 9-year period when I ran my own business. I remember you'll remember it too, the day we had that beast from the east, we had the snow storm and so on.
Yeah.
And we were sending our staff home that day. And I remember thinking, this could be the end of the business. If we're sending staff, nobody is going to be working in the office for an entire half day. This is going to cripple us.
Now we're half day, I think it's only half a day.
And then, just a couple of years later or whatever, we're spending 6 or 9 months at a time working from home.
Yeah.
So I think it's I hate to say it, but it's that art of the possible, isn't it? And maybe it took something as terrible as the pandemic to sort of just force the economy to reconsider how we should be structuring ourselves for a modern.
Well, it's the same, isn't it? Is it necessity is the mother of all invention or something like that? Yeah. When there's something there that you have to work to solve, you have no option but to solve it.
That's exactly, and that's where business leaders are just so brilliant. And again, I think that is a genuine strength of our business community in the North East.
Did you tell Jeremy that when you were down there?
Do you know what? I really did. I genuinely did, actually. I did, because I do honestly think that is part of that sort of North East.
Because we get a lot of stick, the greedy, evil, capitalist, pigs of business, but actually there is a lot of good in business, isn't there?
And I just see that more and more and more, and that comes down to whether it's businesses' values and the culture, their purpose. Everyone talks about purpose now, but we talk about it for a reason, and that just comes through loud and clear. And that is definitely what separates the good businesses from the really great businesses, that they've got that clarity of purpose.
All right, so that's interesting. That's handy as well, because we try to live up to those values and principles and behaviours. John, what do you think is something, if you can say this in a positive way as well, what's coming that could derail the positive moves at the moment, and what can people do to, I suppose, preempt that and embrace? Is there something you go, actually that's going to be a problem if that happens?
Well, first of all, you never know what's around the corner. Again, if we go back to late 2019, the first few weeks of 2020, who knew that this thing called COVID that we'd never heard of was going to have
nobody knew. Everyone pretends they did know
exactly,
now, but nobody knew.
So you just never know what's around the corner. I would like to think that, again, if any good has come of that terrible situation, that we are better prepared, certainly as a business community, for those massive and total shocks. Those things that none of us could have necessarily expected. Not things that might not even have made their way onto your risk register. All of a sudden, you're kind of starting to think about the unthinkable. And I think therefore business is better prepared for that. But I think, what I'd almost rather say is what's the opportunity in front of us? And the big opportunity for me and for the Chamber is around devolution. And in our part of the North East, we've got a devolution deal coming down the lines. It's taken a long time to get here. But this time next year, we'll have it. We'll have a new mayor. We'll have an investment fund worth something like £4.2 billion over the next 30 years, the ability to match that, at least match it with private sector investment, and the ability to take our own decisions over what we want to prioritise and what we want to do with that in terms of skills, transport, housing. So that is just such a huge opportunity which could potentially just transform the North East.
I think I might have responded to one of your tweets a while ago. I think there was a picture of Gove and a bunch of presumably council leaders at
the Sage,
Was it
the
Sage?
Baltic?
The Baltic. And my only concern there is we need all of the local authorities to play well, don't we?
We do, yeah.
Because one of the things that always baffles me, so business is generally better at this, not always mind you, but generally better, is even just those basic stuff like buy-in policies. Like you've got, how many borough councils within 3 mile of where we're sitting? Probably 4 or 5 even. Yeah. And yet they're all still doing their own thing. They're all like, do you think we'll see a lot of unification of those basic core service deliveries to actually get that economy of scale?
I mean, first of all, I think you're absolutely right. You identify that as being the real big ask that we've got of those political leaders. And what I would say to their absolute credit is that they are doing that. They are
right.
Because if they were...
Because I know I can recycle different things in Newcastle than my mother can in Gateshead and a friend in North Tyneside. We've all got different, which that's nuts.
It is, completely.
And I know that's just a silly thing to say, but if they've got that disjointed approach on even something basic like what you can put in what colour bin, who knows what else is going on? So are they committing to that?
They really are, because if they hadn't, Martin, we wouldn't have this deal. And I think actually one of the strengths of this deal is it's got cross-party political support as well. And that means
it's not a partisan issue, is it?
Exactly right.
It shouldn't be.
Exactly right. And that means you haven't got somebody kind of in the background kind of chipping away at it and trying to sort of unpick it again.
Trying to undermine it.
Absolutely right. So it's got that sort of cross-party support. and leaders have had to collaborate in order to get it to where it is. Now, there will come a point in the next few months when those parties go into a campaign mode to sort of campaign against one another. Absolutely, and that's fair enough. But then we'll come out of that with a cabinet, with a mayor, and we can move forward again. But
what's the opportunity there for business then, do you think, John? Just that it'll be, do you think that'll give us a bit of local stability of the type you're hoping for?
So one of the things that I think is a real strength of the deal is the way that the officers working in the background on the deal and the politicians who are involved in it today have really got on board with and grasped that businesses don't recognise political boundaries. You know, so no business, this business doesn't operate.
We don't ask what borough council you're in.
And you will have employees who are coming from across boundaries, and you've got clients and customers who do so. You've got suppliers who do so. So you know, when government wants to talk about here's the opportunity for Newcastle, here's a different opportunity for Gateshead, that's not how the business community works. And that is absolutely embedded in this devolution deal. That this is a deal for the whole of the North East. So everything that local authorities do, and whether it's around those bin collections or street lamps or whatever it may be, everything that local authorities do today, they will continue to do. This is all new and additional stuff. Right. So this isn't to kind of take anything away from those local authorities. They'll continue to do their thing. But on those really important, regionally significant issues around transport, housing, skills.
Sorry, but in then, John, but will that be like things like where we, if we're going to build a business park, it'll be a region-wide view rather than just, Newcastle wants something.
Fundamentally, yes.
So it'll be exactly right, everyone, what do you think about this? And we'll all work,
and then really important, that's exactly it, but then really importantly, then think, well, okay, if we're going to build that business park, where do we put the affordable housing to ensure that people can actually afford to...
And how are they going to get there?
And how are they going to get there? And so that's why, that for me is the real kind of golden ticket of devolution, that it brings together that sort of economic plan with a skills plan, a housing plan, a transport plan, brings all of that together, and that's where we'll make some real change.
Excellent. So John, we normally finish, I don't know how long we've probably done a good 20-30 minutes. We normally finish with a question that can be a quick one, but obviously it often just starts
not if I'm answering it.
It normally starts another part of the conversation. Okay. What are people in business just getting wrong at the moment? So this isn't a beat up on business, but so if you were sitting here with your old marketing hat on, I would say, what's the first thing people need to change if they're doing it wrong in marketing? But what do you think? What's the thing that you see too many businesses are just getting that wrong?
I wouldn't. I mean, who am I to say getting it wrong? You know, I've only ever once run a business, so I want an answer. But what I would say is, I would encourage businesses not to, as far as they possibly can, not to take that sort of short-term view on, I'm just going to batten down the hatches and get through the end of the week, and then we'll go again next week and see how we get on. You know, now is actually the time to invest in your workforce, investing in their skills and their future development. That's how you'll keep them rather than them moving on. That's how you'll start to future-proof your business. I think that is really tough, and I'm not going to be critical of any business that's really struggling with that. But I would encourage them to, where they can, if they can, take that longer-term view, because we're going to get there.
It's interesting because it plays on a theme that we saw repeated during lockdown, and I've said this a number of times on the podcast, but we had businesses who we know of in, I'll say, retail or food, where they thought, well, we can't do anything, so let's not do anything, and then they really struggled because they did sit back, they spent the grant they got, and when they came out, they hadn't changed at all. Yeah. And actually, there were some really good positive businesses who kind of went, well, listen, any change creates movement and opportunity, doesn't it? Yeah, and absolutely. And so it feels like that's the same kind of message you're giving there, isn't it?
I think so. And again, it comes back to that thing about purpose as well. So why do you do what you do? You know, it's the economy going forward is not just going to be about, here's my product, here's my service, I'm going to try and sell it to somebody who'll buy it.
I sell these whether you like it or not.
Why do you do what you do? And have that purpose, and you can make a lot of inroads with that.
Excellent. John, that was awesome. Thank you very much, sir.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, man.
No worries. We hope you all enjoyed that. John can be contacted on the links we'll put in the chat. If you've got any questions for John, put them on there and we'll make sure you get them. But thank you very much, sir.
Thanks very much, Martin. Thank you.